weather in this neck of the woods, one of the worst tornado events we have seen in the St. Louis area in really quite some time. So just a couple of fast facts about it already here. Every single one of these little triangles, if you can see the screen, is a tornado that touched down on that day across the region here. So it's 118 tornadoes, which is the largest March tornado outbreak in the United States on record. In Missouri, 24 of them were in Missouri, 22 of them were on the strong side, EF2 or above. Illinois had 17. Tragically, it was also a very deadly day, 43 deaths, 12 of them in the state of Missouri, which makes it the highest death count by any state in this outbreak, and also the highest death count since the Joplin tornado back in 2011 that killed 159 people moved on through. So, just going to kind of go through a quick little timeline of it real quickly here, but first we needed to understand the 4 ingredients that you need for severe thunderstorms here. One of them is moisture. You step outside over the last few days, you feel that moisture out there. It's a measure of water content in the air. Instability. Has anybody ever heard of that term before?
Very sure. That's how we live here.
Yeah.
Instability is essentially the energy that you need for thunderstorms to develop. So the higher the instability, the more unstable your atmosphere is, and storms can go up a lot higher here. A good way to actually measure instability is if you watch like a smokestack or something on like a factory, and if the smoke just continues up and it just continues going up, your atmosphere is unstable. But if you see smoke that comes up and then flattens out, you have a stable atmosphere because air is not able to rise up there. So instability. You also need wind shear. That is the changing of the wind with height, either speed shear or directional shear. Speed shear is essentially, you have wind going 10 miles per hour at the surface, you go up a few thousand feet, it goes 50 miles per hour at the surface. It allows your storm to tilt, and that way it can hold its longevity as it moves. You also have directional shear, say you have wind ground out of the south, and then you go up a few thousand feet, it's out of the west. You get that turning, you see the fingers here, you got some rotation, you got some tornadoes here. And then finally, lift. You need something to get the atmosphere moving. Typically, it's a cold front or some other sort of front. You need something to push it. You can have all 3 of these ingredients, moisture, instability, and wind shear in abundance, but if nothing is there to push those thunderstorms up, that forcing mechanism, you're not going to get a thunderstorm. We get a lot of days where we just don't have anything that kind of moves up. So for March the 14th, we had lift and we had wind shear. We had them in spades. In terms of, I know a lot about severe weather history across here. Those 2 ingredients were about as pristine as you're ever going to see them in our neck of the woods for that time of the year. But the question, though, was about moisture and instability. Would we have enough moisture and instability to get storms to go on March the 14th? So taking you through a very quick timeline here, as my family is probably very well aware, I send a lot of text messages in the group chat, and some of them are maybe a little too lengthy. I don't think they're lengthy enough, but some may disagree with me. But I started mentioning it really a week prior to this. This is one of our maps that we look at here, one of our computer models showing this type of thunderstorm here. And if you ever get a low pressure system that sits up near Omaha, Nebraska, and it's in the springtime, that's the uh-oh factor right in there for severe weather across here, because you're in that great sort of quadrant for severe weather to develop here. So I mentioned that in our text chat, the potential for some thunderstorms possible for the 14th and 15th of the month here. People started focusing on the 15th because I hear there was a parade ongoing that day. And then over here, I'm not going to read the entire thing, but they do get a little long after a little while, some of these text messages. So we started, as meteorologists, highlighting the events about a week out, saying, hey, there's the potential for some severe weather here in the St. Louis area, still about a week out. So within the next couple of days, starting to hone in on the threat here a little bit. This is a severe weather threat here highlighted by the Storm Prediction Center. They're running out of Norman, Oklahoma. They're the ones that issue the severe weather outlooks. So whenever you see those severe weather graphics on TV, they come from the Storm Prediction Center. Because sometimes we're too lazy to draw our own maps out there. So they highlighted a pretty large risk for severe weather back on March the 9th, so about 6 days lead time up into this event. And then of course I wrote another book into the group chat there, which people probably read, I don't know. Okay. Imagine so. Sometimes I'll send them and then like my mom will call and then ask me a question that I've already answered anything. So sometimes it varies a little bit.
She wants the abbreviated version.
Yeah. So then the day starts getting a little bit better here. So zoomed into Missouri on this map. If you see the orange contour there, that is a highlighted risk here, an enhanced risk for severe weather as we sometimes call it. This is the Storm Prediction Center getting more confident in that we are going to see some significant severe weather events here. And then in my text I said, quote, in terms of wind dynamics, this is a classic setup for a major severe weather event. However, as mentioned before, it will all hinge on how fast moisture can make it up. Recent models have downplayed the moisture, so this will be a trend to keep monitoring. Lower moisture equals lower severe threat, vice versa. However, even with meager moisture, the wind dynamics could be enough to overcome that to create severe weather. As I mentioned, the wind dynamics are, again, about as pristine as you're ever going to get. But if you don't have that moisture, you don't have that lift, the atmosphere is going to go to waste. So the next day, they highlighted that risk a little bit farther into St. Louis. This is on March the 11th. So as the Storm Prediction Center's concern is going up, my concern is starting to go up too, watching this from up into Omaha, watching down here. So we started highlighting the potential for a severe line of thunderstorms to roll through the area, producing 60 to 70 mile per hour winds, with a secondary risk of tornadoes coming out from this. Notice we're focusing a lot more on the wind potential right now, but things are going to change in the next couple of days leading up to this event. So on March the 12th, we get a level 3 out of 5 risk for severe weather that is issued. That is an enhanced risk for severe weather. I start mentioning the threat for tornadoes will hinge on the amount of moisture, but given the current parameters, I would expect a few tornadoes to come from this line. One of the other concerns we were talking about with these storms is the forward speed of these storms alone, just the speed that they are moving, is about 60 to 70 miles per hour. So you're not outrunning that on I-70 unless you are really, really speeding. But storms also don't have to worry about turns in the road. They don't have to worry about that dude that's in the left lane that's going a lot slower than he should be too. You really just need him to get over to the right. Okay, this is the fast lane, move over. Storms don't have to worry about that. And so they're flying at 60 to 70 miles per hour. You're not going to be able to outrun them. So that was another concern that we had on this day. So this is sort of a simulated radar image that we take here. The reason why I wanted to point this out was this was on March the 12th, so this is 2 days before the event. Notice how the thunderstorms are kind of lined up with each other. A line of storms will increase your damaging wind potential, lowering your tornado potential there. So that's why I was really hammering in on the wind risk. But then here's what happened on the next day with some of our computer models. Notice how it's no longer a solid line of thunderstorms, and it is these little blobs of storms. Those are what we call supercell thunderstorms. That is your most dangerous kind of thunderstorm that you can find anywhere in the world. So I saw this map, and the weather community saw this map, and bulging eyes all over the place. Big old, when you get the wind dynamics, if you get the moisture up here, you're gonna have some trouble. So the Storm Prediction Center upgraded the risk for St. Louis to a level 4 out of 5 severe weather risk. For context, the last time that we have had a risk in our area from that was back in 2023. And then before that, you gotta go back to 2017 for some of this. So truly it was starting to become a lot more of a concern for most of us. So I'll let this loop go here. I just decided I'm just going to read through my text message that I sent the night before. It is the longest text message, but it is probably also, as they probably know, I don't like to overhype things. I don't like to overstate things. Usually I'm always like, oh, it's always a little uncertain. This is where I was like, okay, here we go. So I go, what can win? A broken line of severe/tornadic storms will fly through the St. Louis area between 7 and 10 o'clock. The timing has been a bit later in recent trends. Contrary to what you may think, when the sun goes down, the storms weaken. This will not be the case. In fact, nighttime will increase the severe weather risk just because of the wind dynamics. So later storms equal more severe storms. This will be the main risk tomorrow is damaging winds. Widespread damaging winds up to 80 miles per hour as possible. This could create damage such as downed trees, power lines, and power outages. The tornado threat is secondary but very real risk. I would expect several tornadoes near and perhaps in the St. Louis metro as the storms fly by. A few of these tornadoes could be strong and long-tracked. The exact nature of the tornado threat will depend on how the storms look. If it is a solid line, as I mentioned, the tornado threat's lower. But if it's more individual storms, as what we're seeing in this image here, that tornado risk increase happens. If this happens, big if, then the tornado risk would increase dramatically. But wait, there's more. Another issue will be the speed of these storms. These storms are going to be flying at 60 to 70 miles per hour. This is highway speeds, also means shorter lead times for the Weather Service. So a storm could be sitting in Union, and then within 20 minutes it's going to be up in Chesterfield. That's not that much time to warn people in Chesterfield if your storm's in Union. You got to warn them basically when they're down by Rolla. Hint, hint, something like that's going to happen very soon, foreshadowing. And then this is where I masked off. I said the unvarnished truths. To me, this is one of the largest severe weather threats I have seen in recent memory. However, this is not a slam dunk. Moisture will be key, as I've mentioned all week, though it is becoming less of a concern. And then I said stay calm, go to your basement, all that fun stuff right through there. So that's my urgent message. So this is the tornado outlook that is issued by the Storm Prediction Center. And they basically put the St. Louis Metro right in the highest bullseye for their tornado risk. The last time that the St. Louis area had been in a tornado risk that significant was the Good Friday tornado outbreak back in 2011. So this is the moment here. Basically, we're sounding every single alarm that we possibly could that March the 14th is going to be a very, very big day. And then I send another book because why not? So it's not just me that's been saying this, it's also the National Weather Service. This is an email that was sent out to us in the morning. I'm not going to read the entire thing, but I am going to read the first paragraph because I think it really highlights the severity. National Weather Service partners, I have never done this in my career, but I wanted to reach out to each of you personally to let you know the significance of the severe thunderstorm threat today. Our expectations that we could see storms similar to the ones that produced the Good Friday tornado in St. Louis in 2011, the Jefferson City tornado in 2019, and the Edwardsville Defiance tornadoes in 2021. This is a life-threatening situation. The other complicating factor this evening is it's a Friday night in March. What goes on a Friday night in March typically? Fish fries. So there are people, probably hundreds of thousands, that are gathering in these large spaces with maybe flimsy roofs. So this was also another concern that we had going into the afternoon. So before all of this, it was a day of wildfires in the St. Louis area because the air was so dry during the afternoon that the St. Louis area had to battle high winds outside of any thunderstorm. We had 60-mile-per-hour winds outside of any storm and wildfires during that day. So you had crews under a tornado watch battling wildfires as these tornadic storms were moving on in. This is also the day that my mom almost killed a bunch of baby squirrels.
I didn't. The tree cutter did.
Yeah, we cut down our tree in the front yard, and as they were cutting it down, there was a nest of baby squirrels in there.
He saved them. We were.
Yeah, they were fine, but you can hear them screaming in the video, and it didn't sound very great. But also, crews were battling with wildfires. These are trees that were knocked down, again, just outside of any actual thunderstorms, just because the gradient wind that day was so strong. There we go. Nope, that's the wrong way. So this is kind of a little schematic here that I've made here just to kind of represent how far that moisture got here. So this sort of orange blob right over central Missouri, that is your incredibly dry air. This green line, that's your moisture. By 5 o'clock in the afternoon, your moisture is still sitting down there by Arkansas. Now, if you're going to get severe weather by 8 o'clock and your moisture is still sitting down in Arkansas on any other day, it's over. There's going to be no severe weather here. This is not a typical day. So this is at 5 o'clock. By 6 o'clock, your moisture is getting up towards around Rolla already. So in an hour, it goes from Arkansas to Rolla. Can you drive from Arkansas to Rolla in an hour? No, you can't, but this moisture that is pushing up is. Meanwhile, there's battling fires in St. Charles County at this point. There's a big wildfire out near New Melly that they're battling. And this line of storms that's moving through Springfield is producing tornadoes. So just the incredible atmosphere of that day, producing a lot of very busy emergency first responders. So this is by about 6 o'clock. By 7 o'clock, your moisture is now up to Sullivan at that point. Your line of storms is coming through Springfield. Your dry air is still sitting over St. Louis. And then by 8 o'clock, your moisture is now into Columbia, Jefferson City. So within 3 hours, we've gone from the Arkansas border to Columbia. That deeper moisture where you really get those tornadoes going, that has gone from south of Little Rock at 5 o'clock to Farmington by 8 o'clock. So within 3 hours, the deeper moisture has moved up an entire state. And then finally, by the beginning of this event, that deeper moisture makes it into the St. Louis metro. So for this entire event, if this moisture had been slower by an hour, we would not have seen the severe weather in St. Louis. This would have just been a line of windy showers, and it would have been over. But it was that moisture that came up just in time, right as these storms are coming into the region, that produced all of the severe weather. So what did it produce? Each one of these little lines is a tornado track from that afternoon here. So St. Louis, all of southeast Missouri, northeast Arkansas, into southern Illinois and Indiana saw a swarm of tornadoes that night, including in and around the St. Louis metro here. So each one of these little lines is a singular tornado that passed in and around metro St. Louis. So we're going to go through a few of these quickly here. The first one of the day, at least the first significant one of the day, was an EF2 that went through downtown Rolla. Did damage a lot of homes and also impacted some communities and also caused some damage to the campus of S&T. So we also have a couple tornado videos because kids usually love it, and I imagine adults too. So.
Is this coming? Oh, it's here.
They're in a parking lot in Rolla.
Look at all that debris. Oh my God! We're in a
Yeah, so they were okay. Nobody was killed. Nobody was killed in any of the tornadoes close to St. Louis. All of the fatalities were over southeast Missouri. So this is one of the homes that was damaged in Rolla as that tornado moved on through. But this storm is zipping up I-44, and it is going to produce multiple tornadoes as it comes into the St. Louis metro. So the next one it produces is near Union, down in Franklin County, it's just to the south of Washington. An EF1 tornado here. You'll be able to see it when you see power flashes on the ground in this video here. Also, this guy's going to be kind of annoying and yell a lot. So just
Language.
warning, fair warning there.
Just died like no power now. It just did. Oh, there's the clear parking lot. Gosh, right there, just died right in front of me. Oh, there he is, tornado, got it.
Power flash.
On the ground, cone. Power flash, I see it, cone. Power flash. Oh, yeah.
Are these storm chasers? Is that what it
This
is?
guy is a storm chaser. The other two, I think, are just two dudes at a quick trip.
They're on the
down.
channel.
Yeah, so this one was an EF1 in Union. This one lifted very quickly just south of Union. At the same time this one was lifting, the storm that was moving into St. Louis was so intense that it already produced its next tornado that went through Villa Ridge, which, do you guys know where Villa Ridge is? So it touched down, and this is one of the homes that was damaged just south of Union as the tornado came on through. I believe this was a shed, not the actual house itself. So then we have an EF2 that touches down very near Villa Ridge. It goes through Villa Ridge, Gray Summit, hits Purina Farms, and then goes up into far western St. Louis County, mostly through the forests of St. Louis County. It lifts before it gets to Wildwood. But this video is a little bit clearer that you can see in the tornado. This guy's also going to yell kind of a lot too.
Power flash. No power flash. Multiple power flashes.
So you can see the funnel when you get so many power flashes.
Right there. It's
Yeah, we see it. Yeah, so that was as it crossed I-44 and then heading up into Villa Ridge. This is a home that was damaged just in the northeast of Villa Ridge. The occupants that were within this home took shelter in this tornado and they made it out unhurt from this. So it continued into the St. Louis Metro. The next tornado was an EF2, touches down very near Marquette High School in Chesterfield, and then it ripped about a 16-mile path through Chesterfield, Maryland Heights, Bridgeton, and then it lifted up in Florence. There's no video of this tornado, but we do have my favorite guy over here, Steve Templeton, goes very close to their station. They actually have to take shelter in their station. So we'll watch a little bit of their dramatic exits.
Joey, I always ask, why is he wearing his suit coat? Because I always wear suit coats. What happens?
Yeah, it gets, so one of the reasons why we take off our jacket is because it's hot. There's a lot of lights on you. You get really hot when you're sitting over there talking for an hour.
Show you what's going on and why we're doing this. There is rotation right here coming at Maryland.
So at this point, there's an EF2 tornado coming through the north side of St. Louis. Down in Jefferson County, there's an EF2 tornado approaching Arnold. And then in Calhoun County, there's an EF1 just to the south of Hardin.
But didn't you tell me your suit jacket's off so that we take them serious? We know it's serious?
That's kind of the thing now. That's what people associate with it now.
You
Is
see them
that,
without their jackets.
yeah.
They
Roll
need
up their sleeves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rolled up sleeves, suit jackets. It's really because it's hot under lights.
Down to their underwear.
I can attest to the path of that tornado that came up through Wildwood and went right over the top of my house. It ripped 4 trees clean out of the ground, but roots and all. Laid one across the fence, tore one out and laid it across my driveway. His brother lives on the lower road in my subdivision. There were a whole lot of trees down on the subdivision road, blocking the road at 11 o'clock at night. They're out cutting trees out so we could unblock the road. And let me tell you, they say that the tornado sounds like a freight train. It does. It went right over the top of me.
Yeah, wow. So they go ahead and take shelter. It missed the KMOV studios, also missed the Fox 2 studios. They also had to take shelter during this event too. But this EF2 came on through here. It damaged a couple of homes here. This is a home from Bridgeton that lost its roof. It also knocked over a truck over to its side. This same storm went through Creve Coeur Lake, damaged the soccer complex at Creve Coeur Lake. Nobody was injured or killed in this tornado as it came through. So that storm cycled very quickly over Florence and it dropped another EF2 tornado that hit the town of West Alton in St. Charles County and then moved up into Alton here. So this is a little clip from Channel 2 as they're on the bridge as the tornado is heading into Alton.
You have something there? Yeah, we're on the Chain of Rocks Bridge, I think. Very intense winds coming up over the bridge. You can see the spray from the river
Chain of Rocks
are coming
Bridge.
up from the rain over the top of the bridge.
He's going up to
This is all
Alton.
intense straight line winds will sound.
Well, he doesn't know where he is either, so.
Yeah, and the Clark Bridge.
So that he couldn't read the signs.
You've got intense straight line winds coming across the Chain of Rocks. Over into Illinois.
And you just see just the rain.
And similar winds overturned, just got a report of a tractor trailer overturned on the JB Bridge on the south side with that other super, on the south side of their super cell down in South County. So intense.
Yeah, he's going really quick for very heavy rain. Don't drive that fast in heavy rain. I'm sure I don't need to tell you guys that, but you know. Yeah. So as all of this is going on the north side of the St. Louis Metro, this is one of the homes that is damaged in West Alton from this here. West Alton, I don't know why people live in West Alton. Like, they get flooded about once every other year. and then they come back, and then they get hit by a tornado, I would move at that point. Sorry if anybody here is from West Hollywood, but, you know, that would be, yeah, Grafton, Portage to Sioux, like everybody along there, they get flooded out like once every other year, and then they're like, oh, well, we rebuild. It's like, okay.
We love it here.
I think one of the most impressive things about this, I'm a weather spotter, I'm an amateur radio operator, and I belong to the Aries group. And we were listening to broadcasts from our repeater stations. They were telling us about the tornado's positions. They were on us before we knew what to do.
Yeah.
I mean, we all knew we needed to take cover, but it's amazing how quickly they got from where they were reported to be to where we were.
Yeah.
You know, they were moving like gangbusters.
Yeah, I mean, the one that went from Chesterfield to Florissant got there in 15 minutes,
Right.
and everybody in this room knows you are not getting to Chesterfield to Florissant in 15 minutes, driving on some of the roads that we are. Yeah, these are moving at speeds about as fast as the storm could really physically go without ripping itself apart. So all of that was occurring on the north side of St. Louis, but attention had to quickly go to the south side as another EF2 tornado, the fourth one of the night to hit St. Louis County, goes right through Arnold and then up into Melville there in South County. So this is some of the video from that one.
Flashes again.
So you'll see the tornado kind of over here, right here. There's one side of it, and then here's the other side.
Tornado's right in there.
Right there.
Oh yeah, it's right in there. There's the tornado.
That's the one that chased me in the basement, went over my house.
Yeah. Ooh, there. Mark gets mad, he says, I could've got out of bed and go to the basement for what?
I got in the basement, figured out I didn't have a chair down there. Sit on the bucket and lean up against the washer.
This is some of the damage that occurred in Arnold as it moved on through. So the St. Louis County alone had 4 EF2 tornadoes go through it, which has never happened in the county's history. In one night, in the span of about 45 minutes, these storms were in and they were out. So they did continue into Illinois. Usually at this point, everybody loses interest once they do. But you did have the EF2 that hit the Muscuda. Yeah. Sometimes though it'll be like the St. Louis, like some of the meteorologists, the second it moves into the metro east, they're like, all right, click, we're getting on program. But Illinois did have tornadoes too, including one that went through Muscuda. You'll see its power flashes. So they're driving by the airport right here, the Mid-America Airport, toward this EF2.
I think part of the problem with reporting them was because it was dark, it was
Yeah.
difficult for people to see the lowering of the funnels.
Yeah.
If we would have gotten good videos of these tornadoes, you would have seen that a lot of the tornadoes were very diagonal because the friction on the ground was not enough to keep up with the speed that they were going in the sky. So it's actually forcing the tornadoes to be dragged on the ground as they're whipping at 60
The
to
cloud
70 miles
movement
per
was
hour.
much faster as far as we could tell. Because I can tell you, I heard this thing, it lasted a good, I'd say 2 or 3 minutes as it went over the top of us. And it was unbelievable. I was waiting to get hit, but thank goodness it went over us.
It was, again, this is an environment that will be replicated maybe once in a generation or so. This kind of environment we had probably back in 1967 with the EF4 that came to the Chesterfield area back in January, which we will mention Grandma's sister was impacted in. So this is one of the homes that was impacted near the town of Baden, Illinois, which is just to the east of Muscuda. It also lost its roof. So that was just all the stuff in St. Louis. Down in southeast Missouri is really where the event brought out here. So each one of these little scars here is a different tornado. All of them at least EF3 winds of 160 miles per hour and higher. The red that is kind of down near the border, that's an EF4. There's a violent tornado. Missouri had not had a violent tornado since 2021 down in the Blue Heel. But this was where the core of the outbreak was. This is where all the fatalities were. So the image that I've used in the background of this is from a town called Bakersfield, Missouri, which is east of Springfield on the Missouri-Arkansas border. EF3, this is one side of the tornado, that's the other side of the tornado, and this person's looking a couple miles away. It is about a mile wide as it comes through Bakersfield and West Plains. This tornado took the lives of 5 people in Bakersfield. That's one of the homes that was nothing left of that home as it came on through. So you had a tornado. It's a very interesting town name. It's called 56 Arkansas, which is the name of the town, and then into Fair Dealing, Missouri, which is another very interesting town. This was the EF4. It traveled 119 miles in about an hour and 15 minutes. So the forward speed on that tornado was roughly 76 miles per hour on the ground, which, you know, if an officer dared to pass it, you could clock that thing for speeding. This is one of the homes that was destroyed near Fair Dealing. There's its front door. The front door actually used to be on the other side of the house. Blew the front door over onto that side. This is an EF3. If you know where Johnson Shut-ins is, a town called Des Arc is right in there. This area was cleaned out here as well. The reason why I wanted to pick the Des Arc tornado is because Des Arc is a town that is hit 2 months later on May the 16th. So the same day that the big tornado went through the north side of St. Louis, Des Arc was actually hit a second time. This same home right in here was hit again by a tornado that moved on through. The Weather Service could not rate that tornado because you already had your home destroyed. If another tornado moves on through, how are you going to tell that another tornado just moves on through? It's just, this is what damage.
Just rebuilt it.
Yeah, the family that had moved into this one, they moved in about a year before that tornado came on through, and I believe they are now relocating their home. Which I would not blame them if they did that. So this is a EF3 that went through Poplar Bluff, which is a fairly sizable town in southeast Missouri. This is a video here from a gas station as it's hit by the tornado. Probably one of the more dramatic audio things here, because you're going to hear stuff. That's actually a 26-year-old man. Nobody was hurt or killed in this, by the way. It is being a little hard to see, but as he's kind of looking out, the entire gas station canopy has been folded in half.
People now running in.
Yeah.
Excuse me. You see all these people going to quick trip in on the canopy. When you're under one, look what's holding it up. A couple of sticks here and there. It's just a kite sitting ready to take off.
Yeah. Always freaks me out, even on just like a windy day. I'll see that thing kind of shake. I'm like, maybe I don't want to get gas today. Maybe I'll wait a little bit. So that tornado goes through Poplar Bluff. Down in Arkansas, a town called Diaz, Arkansas, was hit by a second EF4 tornado with wind speeds upwards of 190 miles per hour, which is, as of right now, still the strongest tornado in all of 2025 in the town of Diaz in Arkansas. So before I wrap up here, this will be kind of the last slide. There was a second day of tornadoes down in Mississippi and Alabama, producing an EF4 tornado down there. The image to the left, which was something that was kind of overshadowed by the tornadoes, was Oklahoma had a giant wildfire outbreak that day. So that particular home right in there, that was the ranch home of Oklahoma Governor Roger Stitt, who lost his ranch home in the wildfires in Oklahoma, because the wind dynamics on the backside of it was enough to create massive wildfires. And then in the north, up in parts of Nebraska, Iowa, and Minnesota, was a full-blown blizzard that moved on through. that kind of kicked through the area. So it was truly one of these storm systems that we probably won't see for at least a while in our area, but it definitely impacted our region a lot, and that is it.
That new one that's moving along the coast,
Aaron?
east coast, yeah. What are the chances that could be inland?
Very slim to none.
Oh, good, because my sister lives over there.
Yeah, hurricanes, we have a pretty decent idea on where they're gonna go, because they're very simple creatures sometimes. They see the currents, and then will just follow the currents usually. So yeah, Aaron's gonna stay off the coast. There is a lot of rip current surf problems, especially in like the Outer Banks of North Carolina. But yeah, Aaron will pose no threat to land, at least in the United States. Bermuda, different story, but again, don't live in Bermuda. You're an island of the Atlantic.
It gets beat up. It's just like, kind of like Westall.
Yeah, exactly. You get hit by a hurricane basically every season. I don't know why. Plus it's an island in the middle of the Atlantic. That seems very lonesome.
You know, the inevitable question that always comes up is, if they go to the lowest point that you can get to with an oncoming tornado. And I always think about that, you know, if I go down in my basement, the house is hit directly, there's nothing that's gonna stop the house from coming apart. I mean, with those kinds of winds, even an EF2 will rip a house to shreds, as demonstrated. What happens if you get trapped down
So it has happened before. People do get trapped in their basement. Really, you just kind of have to just wait for somebody to come up there. So a good thing that cell phones work, and a good thing that we also practice as well. A good thing that we practice is within your severe weather kit that everybody should have in their basements. I'm not going to take a poll on who does and who doesn't, because I don't want to be sad. But in your severe weather safety kit in your basement, something we do recommend is an air horn or a whistle. Something that you can blow or make noise and say, hey, I'm here.
I'll just come to your house and.
Hey, I'm in the basement, come help me. I'm trapped down there, because it has happened before. What?
We didn't know that.
You do now.
It was in the text.
Al will put a
Yeah,
line
so-
in the basement tonight.
Yeah, lowest floor.
Christmas gifts this year, so.
Yeah, I didn't take shoes, right?
Yeah, shoes, a bicycle helmet too. A lot of people, especially a lot of children that we have found doing more medically induced tornado research. Most younger people in tornadoes die due to head injuries, blunt force trauma to your head. So wearing a bike helmet could significantly decrease your chances of being hit by debris and it causing significant damage. Do you look stupid doing it? Yeah, but you know, you're alive.
You're in your basement.
Yeah, but
I've always heard it says southwest corner of the basement.
that was kind of older terminology, was kind of the southwest northeast corner. The idea behind that was that tornadoes typically move from southwest to northeast, so all the debris would be blown. It's something that you could still do, it's not gonna hurt, but it's usually just get down to your basement, just find a spot where you can be safe.
Windows.
And then some of the myths that we did bust though is opening windows during a tornado. Don't do that. It's not the pressure. Yeah, it's not the pressure that will destroy your house. It's the 200-mile-per-hour winds that are hitting it. And also your windows are going to blow out anyway. You're just giving it easier access to put in there. So windows is something. Tornadoes do hit major cities, as we're very familiar with here. Tornadoes can cross rivers. Yeah, tornadoes
They
can.
always seem to attract trailer parks too.
Yeah, tornadoes are things that they don't care about the local geography, they don't care what sits in its way. It'll go through a trailer park, it'll go through the wealthy part of town. It doesn't care where you live. If you're in its path, you're gonna get hit. It can cross the rivers.
I have a question. When it comes to a car, when you're out in the middle of nowhere, is it better to stay in the car or try to outrun it?
So
Or
that's
what?
It's actually one of the bigger sort of debates that we have right now is what you do in a car, because the conventional wisdom is usually you get out of a car, you go to a ditch. But
Or your car falls in a ditch.
Yeah.
yeah, because the wisdom behind that is that a lot of the debris will be flying, so hopefully it flies over you. But the other thing that we've kind of been running into now, sometimes ditches are flooded, especially if you get heavy rain right before there, and you are in that
And
ditch.
they recommend not to go under an
Yeah,
overpass.
yeah, the underpass thing has been thoroughly debunked. That is a awful place to go for a tornado, because it's a very similar experiment that I can think of. If you blow on your hand, and then you take a straw, and you blow through the straw at the same speed, the straw is gonna feel a lot more on your hand, because you're forcing the same amount of air through a smaller space. That's what an underpass does. You're forcing all of this air into a smaller space, so it increases the air as a wind turbine, and it can easily suck you up. It used to be the wisdom, thanks to two particular people back in 1991 who filmed a video of themselves hiding in an overpass. But back in 1999, there was a mother and her daughter that were killed. They took shelter in an overpass and they were ripped out from underneath it. So overpass is not good. Overpasses are also not good in hail. That's something that we've seen a lot too, where people, if there's a hailstorm, they don't want their cars to get damaged, they'll park under an overpass. There's no safety thing to it, it's more just like a selfish thing. Because if everybody does that, you're gonna block up traffic for everybody behind you. We actually had that with the St. Louis tornado back in May, was you have this tornado that's heading into downtown, everybody's worried about the hail, so everybody's parking under overpasses, and underpasses. So you had like 170, 44, 64, we're all crowded with traffic because people can't get through because everybody's hiding under the underpass. And if that tornado had gone across one of these interstates right during traffic, you have a bunch of sitting ducks that are sitting right in there. So it's just more, I get it, you don't want your car to get damaged, but also like if my car gets damaged because you were under an overpass,
That's what yours is for.
yeah. So
Didn't you tell us like how they know it's a 4 or 5, like when houses are ripped apart, they look for how they were attached?
yeah. Yeah, a lot of weather service surveyors that go out and survey these tornadoes, they also have a lot of structural engineering things, because sometimes a home can be blown off its foundation, but sometimes its foundation is not properly secured. You don't have anchor bolts. We're finding that with especially a lot of like the newer suburban homes that are being built, the ones that you look into a field and then 6 months later you look into the field and you have all these new homes that have just been built out of nowhere. A lot of those are not necessarily properly anchored to their foundation because you're trying to get them up as quick as possible. So we've seen where some homes get weakened by 150-mile-per-hour wind blows on through with a home that could normally withstand 200-mile-per-hour winds. So construction quality does matter a lot. Not necessarily up here because we have stronger building codes in Missouri and Illinois, but in places like Mississippi and Alabama where their building codes are very lax, that's where you get some of these very high-end tornadoes that just wipe out neighborhoods in Mississippi, because a lot of these homes are not built to a sort of rigorous code. Like Oklahoma, they got those things built down like fortresses now. Like they're strapped down in Oklahoma and Kansas and Nebraska.
Even now, we have to put hurricane clips or
Yes.
something in our roofs when we build new roofs or something.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
new homes will have hurricane clips installed, which is built to withstand, I believe, 185-mile-per-hour winds, something like that. Yeah, those are allowed to be starting to be built up.
Yeah, I gave a talk to the junior high, or the middle school students on the meteorology, weather forecasting and stuff, and the weather spotters. And one of the comments that I made, and I've made it here, is put yourself together a go bag. A go bag, you know what a go bag is. A go bag, you put in a whistle, a couple bottles of water, some Band-Aids and gauze, and a flashlight, and a radio, okay? And just make sure they're kept up to date, especially the radio if it has batteries that need to be charged or replaced. Put it near the top of the stairs on your landing, on your basement. And if you go down there, you grab the bag, take it down with you. You got at least some things with you in case you do get trapped, or you need, you get cut by flying debris or whatever. So that's something to do.
Yeah, that's always a regular debate. I will, full disclosure, I don't really have a storm safety kit myself. But also, like, usually when we have tornadoes that move up in Omaha, I'm in the studio covering them, so I'm kind of fine. But everybody should have a bag or at least something just in case you do get hit by a tornado. You're at least prepared, even if you never have to use it in your basement. If you don't have a basement, the interior room, hallway, bathroom, closet, something that, yeah, no windows. Put as many walls between you and the outside as you can. You just want to just get into that sort of center part. If you're in a car, don't, just, you know,
The choices there.
yeah.
Filming.
Yeah, start filming. Hopefully, at the very least, if you survive the tornado in the car, you can get some good money from selling video places. So, any additional questions? My mom's getting impatient over there, I can see her.
I'm not kidding.
I will make one comment.
You can make as long as you want.
In Oklahoma, and she said, that their storm shelter was a true test of their relationship. Because when they were stuck in it for like 6 hours, they didn't like each other very much.
And my sister was in the 1967
Told
tornado
you.
in Maryland Heights. Her subdivision was just gone. Her house was in the first one standing, crooked. And she was in there with her baby, and her husband was at the store, he couldn't get in, and the governor actually landed the helicopter in their backyard. And I'm in college, and doesn't your sister live in Maryland Heights? And I can't get hold of her, of course, and oh my God. Yeah, and she said it was a freight train. That sounded like a freight train.
That was January of 1967, by the way. Just 24th. So it's also just another thing where, you know, we think of tornado season, April, May, June. Tornadoes can happen any time of year if we get the right ingredients. Even just a few years ago, the Edwardsville Defiance tornadoes, that happened in December 10th, 2021.
Good Friday one.
Yeah.
That's April 22nd. So, you know.
Oh, I see, never
Yeah,
mind.
that's like.
Okay,
My
Don's
brother's
Good
in
guess,
Houston.
Good
He's
buddy.
calling me, he's got his head out his window, he goes, oh, I just saw a transformer go. I said, Alan, the tornado is right there, just went right through everywhere, and he stood his head out the window. Runs in the family.
Joe, one thing that, when I worked for State Farm in the 90s, when they had the bad hurricane down in Florida, the state of Florida made a law. You talk about structural and integrity of a house. They made it mandatory that homes being built after that hurricane had to meet a 30% higher wind rate than what it was before, because a lot of people that moved down there built little shack-like houses, and they were blowing away. 7 insurance companies went broke during that time, small insurance companies, because when the government increased the strength of the house, the cost of replacement went up tremendously, and a lot of these insurance companies that were smaller ones weren't prepared for that big change. And, you know, the strength of the home or structure is important.